Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's session. We're going to talking about a very important and growing segment of the Chinese consumer market, which is luxury consumers and where and how they make purchases. And our experts will give out suggestions on how to engage with them and maximize the impact of marketing campaign. So, my name is Yi Zhang, and I'll be your host for this session. Joining us today are three speakers who are already knowledgeable and experienced in MarTech for luxury and especially in terms of the Chinese market. First, we have Pablo Moran, the managing partner China at DLG. With over 15 years in digital strategy and a decade in China, Pablo has guided more than 100 luxury brands in shaping marketing strategies that bridge global vision with local relevance. Next is UETech's own international managing director, Andy Huang. With over a decade of leadership experience in the MarTech and AdTech space, Andy now leads UETech's efforts in launching AI-powered advertising solutions for global brands. Finally, Linkflow's product VP Chao Zheng is joining us to talk about what he's seen in the Chinese unique market ecosystem and how consumer lifetime value management will contribute to the results and performances of luxury marketing campaigns. Our webinar today will be divided into three main sections. First, we'll start with the three keynote speeches to get a thorough overview of the entire Chinese luxury market, the omnichannel marketing methodologies, and the real-world case studies. So that should take around 45 minutes, and then we'll turn over to the panel discussion with our expert panelists. I'm sure there will be questions from our audiences today, so do feel free to submit questions at any time by using the Q&A button on your screen. And we'll answer as many as we can towards the end of the session. So today's session will be recording, and the recording will be sent to you afterwards. So let's dive in. Okay, I'll share my screen with Pablo. So to start off, we are joined by Pablo, who will walk us through key market dynamics shaping Chinese luxury consumer behavior in 2025 and what that means for brands. So Pablo, over to you.
Thank you very much. And first off, thanks for having me today. It's a pleasure to be invited and to contribute. To share with you a little bit some of our observations regarding the luxury market as of now, that as we could know is going through a transformational phase, and looking a little bit about what are some of those key dynamics and more importantly, what are the implications for the luxury industry. You already kindly introduced me, so I'm not going to spend too much time introducing myself, and I will directly go on with the presentation. So, quick intro first off about DLG. DLG stands as Digital Luxury Group. The agency was originally founded in Geneva, Switzerland, more than 15 years ago. And we decided to pretty much start this as a way to address the concerns of the luxury industry that needed to embrace their digital transformation, and quickly figuring out that this was about much more than just providing technical data or digital expertise, but about blending that with a deep understanding of the luxury industry and the luxury consumers, more importantly, hence our vertical focus for all those years. Today, DLG in China is organized around three business units. First one, which is historically the agency business, what we've started with, accompanying leading luxury brands across fashion, jewelry, watches, beauty, automotive, or spirits, from strategy to deep down execution and implementation. On the field of social media, creative services, influencers, but also CRM and digital experiences. About 2-3 years ago, we launched a consulting practice that was really an answer to an unexpected slowdown in the market, and being able to bring for the luxury industry a solution that was more around optimization of their existing assets rather than necessarily new initiative, and really bringing through a set of best practices and frameworks operational excellence to those brands with the goal of having a rapid performance improvement in terms of return on investment and P&L. Last but not least, DLG also has an intelligence practice around Rehab, a big data company that we acquired last year, which brings us the unique asset of being able to monitor in depth and in almost real time the performance of about 150 luxury brands across very strategic dimensions that are ranging from marketing performance at the top of the funnel, e-commerce performance at the bottom of the funnel, and shedding some lights on the marketplace black box and so on, but also monitoring very strategic topics such as gray and second-hand market. First off, our point of view on the market, I think a lot has been said about the luxury industry in China. And some of the challenges in the past 2 years, we wanted to be able to bring our point of view on those and how we analyze it. And then some of the key implications that I think will also be hopefully a good introduction to what my other co-speakers have to share for today. Starting on the market performance, this is not new. We know that after COVID, China experienced from a domestic level some golden years of fast growth. They are illustrated here on the top chart. 2019, 2020, 2021, strong domestic growth. What is very important, however, is to put that in perspective with the total spending of Chinese consumers. And for me, the key data point here is actually a data point from 5 years ago. Back in 2019, 2/3 of the luxury consumption from Chinese consumers was taking place outside of China. As a result of COVID, a big portion of that was repatriated, which explained the strong growth from 2019 to 2020 and to 2021. But at the same time, what is a little bit counterintuitive is that at the same time we're celebrating the growth of the luxury consumption in China, we're completely ignoring the fact that the total contribution of Chinese consumers was actually significantly decreasing, because that 67% that was taking place outside of China only got partially repatriated. And so when we look at what happened since the reopening, 2022, 2023, 2024, yes, between 23 and 24, we see a certain contraction of the market, not as strong as what is being presented when we look at the domestic numbers. If you look at the domestic numbers, the market went down from 23 to 24 by 23%. But if you take into consideration the resumption of the travel and the fact that, again, that consumption started again to go abroad, the contraction of the market is much more rational and much more in line with what could only be observed in our point of view about so many years of fast growth. So I think that slide is just to make sure that we're taking it with a pinch of salt when we're talking about a loss of interest for the luxury industry, consumers, etc. We know that there are different factors that have an impact, and we'll talk about it later on. But it's also always very important to keep in mind that historically, the importance of Chinese consumers was never measured just in China. It's very important that we keep looking at things globally, both when we analyze business, but as well based on how brands define their strategies and so on, and make sure that we avoid putting China in a bubble without considering the impact that it has on other destinations and so on. So some of those big dynamics, right? So we know that domestic spending is under pressure. The consumer confidence is obviously challenged for various macroeconomic factors. And again, we see again some of that luxury spending taking place outside. We also see that there is a growing gap between the market leaders that traditionally, even in challenging times, are the ones that are able to maintain their investment or even to double down in some cases to gain market shares, and the rest of the brands. It's very important, again, that besides the challenging high-level numbers, to not think that everybody is losing in China. That there are brands that manage to win, there are brands that manage to gain market shares, and this is typically what's going to make the difference between the leaders and the others. We also see that there are strong generational shifts, not only the young audience, but the consumers in general that have an attitude towards luxury that is evolving. And on the other end, as we mentioned, the importance of the overseas spending, it already represents 40%. We know that travel has not, in some regions, has fully resumed, in some others, clearly not. And there is a big question on whether that 40% of overseas consumption is going to last or whether it's going to continue to increase and create more pressure on the domestic market. The recovery remain uneven across regions compared to pre-COVID level. Price advantage, that is also something that has been very broadly discussed in the past. The fact that the China reopened only highlighted some of the pricing discrepancy that we could observe. Not only motivating people to travel, but also stimulating Daigou and gray market. And last but not least, the whole digital infrastructure in China that pretty much evolved on its own and in a bubble since COVID, and with some of the disconnection from the West that were increased by PIPL versus GDPR and so on. But what we see also now is that there are a lot of digital experience that have become part of the day-to-day life of Chinese consumers that are not made available by brands when traveling abroad, and that also have an impact on whether or not they're fully capturing that overseas spending opportunity. Going back on the next slide, what in that context, and again, I think that this is an important topic that will resonate with the presentations after, but on the topic of the different type of consumer steering, obviously not everybody is exposed to the economic environment the same. I think that we all observed that before and during COVID, a lot of luxury brands were doubling down on the middle class and the young consumers as being the growth engine. In China, what we see now is that naturally there is a refocus on high net worth individuals. That's why brand elevation has been at the center of every discussion. Refocus on high net worth individuals and to some extent on the upper middle class that are first off less exposed to the economic environment, and that after that have a behavior that gets more or less impacted when it comes to how they spend on luxury, on whether they purchase products abroad or not, and on whether they have an appetite for cheaper alternatives like gray market. Here, this is just a brief overview coming from our re-up data, but breaking that down a little bit, how does that translate by categories, where we can see that ready to wear not only is the biggest, but still managed to grow, jewelry being flattish, accessories as well, bags and shoes on a slight decrease, watches being more specifically challenged. This is the Glow Index. This is one of the many index and data points that we can offer thanks to Rehab. The Glow Index is here to pretty much highlight how brands articulate different strategies from a product and merchandising point of view. And so this is pretty much an index that is calculated based on the contribution of new products in the revenue of a brand when it comes to Tmall. And this is where we can clearly see that we have different tiers of brands, especially for the ones that manage to significantly overperform the market, the Miu Miu, Icicle, Acne Studio, or Lacoste. And what we can see is that performance was strongly driven by new products recently introduced. We have on the other brands, the timeless performers, the brands that have managed through long years of hard work to establish iconic products that achieve a level of establishment that still allow to fuel their growth, Ralph Lauren, Christian Louboutin, Prada, or Longchamp. And then you have some brands where new products made a strong impact, but not necessarily to an extent of putting them above benchmark. We call them the creative bright spots. And otherwise, the fading signals, brands where most of the revenue comes from older assortment and that don't manage to grow from that. All of that data is usually presented on the occasion of the quarterly reports that Rehab is publishing, and they are available for free and distributed online, the Compass Index and so on. Now, when it comes to the key implications of 2025, there are a few key areas we believe. The first one is obviously when it comes to pricing strategy. Different signals motivating brands to adapt their pricing strategy. On the one hand, for a few years now, there was a consistent price increase strategy as, again, an effort of performing brand elevation and bringing a little bit more focus again on high net worth individuals, reinforcing an element of exclusivity around the product. At the same time, this is also being challenged right now by different other events happening and that brands need to navigate to determine their brand strategy. On the one hand, a consistent increase on the price of gold that in some cases had very big impact on pricing strategy, especially when it comes to watches and, more importantly, jewelry. You can also consider price harmonization. As we mentioned, when COVID reopened, I think that it made very obvious again how some destinations could offer better deals than the retail prices in China. The most recent one being obviously Japan, that everybody took advantage of. And so this is a very important topic right now, because while in the past it was part of an obvious part of the playbook to develop a price increase strategy, brands now need to navigate all of that with a little bit more caution. Additionally, some new phenomena that are challenging brands' revenue, the gray market and the second-hand market. The gray market, you can see here a bit of a rationale. I mean, every brand in China is somehow exposed to gray markets. There are different parameters that will impact to what extent the gray market is meaningful on whether there is a big price gap or with a broad or limited domestic availability, giving opportunities to Daigou to generate opportunities out of that. The wholesale presence, no matter if it's domestic or globally, and how this is controlled and managed, that can also represent a significant stream to fuel the gray market locally. And additionally, internal misconduct. In a context where brands are more challenged to achieve revenue, we see more and more importance paid to those type of topics. And this is again where our solutions can become very handy for brands to better size the threat, identify where it comes from, and after that, working against it. The other big topic that has an impact now is on the rise of second-hand market. We can see here that the penetration currently of the pre-owned market is much lower in China than in most of the other main luxury markets. Japan, US, Europe all have a penetration around 15%, while China is only at 6%. But we see a very strong CAGR, and so an expectation that that phenomenon is going to gain in importance, raising questions for brands as the resale value of product becomes a key consideration for the luxury consumers, and also an opportunity to generate insight on brand desirability and so on. The other implications are around how brands are developing their retail footprint with a certain rationalization. We see brands being much more cautious regarding that, delaying the opening of some stores or deciding even to shut down some underperforming stores. Generally speaking, we see brands that are streamlining their retail networks and that are on the other hand doubling down on very influential, experiential, and immersive flagship stores that allow to become a full part of the brand ecosystem, also in terms of brand building. Another very important point that will connect to the bigger discussion of today on CRM, but in a context where the market is more challenged now when it comes to new customer acquisitions, brands are highly focusing on VICs. It requires them to, in some cases, to the right investment. First off, to have the right infrastructure from a CRM and data standpoint, to not only identify those VICs, but after that, connect and engage with them through the right channels and in personalized way. I think that Chao from Linkflow will talk quite extensively about private domain implications on that. So obviously, we see that as a big area of focus for brands, but also something that is supported by other type of initiative offline, typically with the more and more opening of VIC salons, exclusive events, and so on. The last implication goes a bit to what I was saying. Even in challenging context, we believe that the industry is seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and that this is not the time to slow down and to start losing brand equity and momentum. And looking at what the leaders are doing, this is very well illustrated. Brands like Audemars Piguet, I think that everybody recently heard about the famous Louis Vuitton boat and so on. We see brands that continue to double down even in that context. That translates into campaign strategies that not only are impactful and influential, but also a fact that there is a growing focus on user-generated content. Brands start to realize that what people say about you is as important, if not more, than what you say about yourself. And so this is significantly impacting the strategies developed by brands around big events, experiential events, and everything pretty much linked to stimulating user-generated on strategic platforms like Xiaohongshu or Douyin. And that's about it for my presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pablo, for those powerful insights on the evolving expectations of Chinese luxury consumers and the operational guidelines. Next up, we have Andy, and Andy will be speaking on how luxury brands can elevate their advertising effort through AI-powered omnichannel orchestration. And I'll pass the control of my screen to Andy.
Thank you, Yi.
Yeah, and Andy, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So today I'll be sharing some key insight on how brand can rethink omnichannel luxury marketing strategy to better engage the China consumer, whether they are within China or overseas. So as you know, as the world's largest and faster evolving luxury market, China demands a consumer-centric, emotional-driven, and data-driven approach to advertising. Just to give you a bit of our company background, so UE was founded in 2007. Currently, it's our 18th year in the market. So what we offer is we offer a one-stop media solution where we have access to 80% of the China media inventory. So by leveraging our AI and big data capability, we are able to connect with over 1.09 million mainland Chinese consumer, as well as overseas tourists and investors. So under UE, we have three products. One is One Desk, Link 4, where Charles will explain further. And then with our Engage Chat is with our marketing automation. Just to show you a bit of timeline, as mentioned, we are founded in 2007, and we are the first, in 2012, we are the China first programmatic buying platform. And then in 2017, we actually launched we are the only DSP covering the PC, mobile, video, CTV, as well as digital home. HQ is in Beijing. Then we have branch in Shanghai, Guangzhou, Nanjing, Shijiazhuang, and based in Singapore. So this is our snapshot of the customer we are serving, from auto to 3C, retail to even the travel, as well as the finance sector. Okay, so let's dive into why China still remains the most exciting luxury market globally. As you know, despite the global economic headwind, China luxury sector has actually shown remarkable resident and long-term potential. So according to this data, it's expected to become the world's largest luxury market by 2030. I think this shift is actually funded by not just by the GDP growth, but by younger affluent consumer, raising cultural pride and increasing global exposure. So as you can see, China contribute to almost 25% of the luxury market by 2030. So this makes China a must-win market for global luxury brands, not only in terms of scale, but in its influence on the global trend. Now that has a look at how the luxury brands are investing. So advertising spend in China luxury category fluctuate with cultural moment as well as the gifting holiday. Like example, Chinese New Year, 520 and Single Day. These are emotionally charged occasions where consumers are proud to express their affection, elevate their status, or reward themselves. We see a clear correlationship between this cultural spike and peak advertising spend. highlighting the importance of campaign timing and cultural contextualization. So beyond timing, where and how brands advertise has actually evolved. In terms of the ad serving platform, mobile still dominate. As you know, almost 80% of the Chinese internet population, they are on the mobile. And in terms of the ad format, full screen ad is still the number one choice. Let's say, if you're going to, it's actually for the luxury brands to reach out to. So in terms of the media type, OTT platform like iQIYI, Tencent Video, or even Youku are now commanding a greater share of the media budget. These platforms support storytelling with format like full screen pre-roll, delivering immersive experience that align with luxury values. Video content is not just as ads, as I mentioned, it's now the digital flagship store for many brands. It's offer a powerful platform for storytelling that will deeply connect with the young luxury buyer. So as you can see, interestingly, even with the growth of domestic luxury retail, like many wealthy Chinese still prefer shopping abroad, especially through official brand channel and duty-free outlet. So it's not just about price, it's about authenticity, exclusivity, and experience. So with this consumer travel, they continue to engage with luxury in the cross-border, omni-channel way. So this behavior underscores the need for international consistency in branding and experience, from running ads in China to targeting them in even Paris or Tokyo. So as you can see from this slide, when traveling, Chinese consumers don't just shop randomly. They are actually well-informed and intentional. So according to Dragon Trail, this report, they frequently search for global luxury brand while overseas. Some of them is actually like Chanel, Louis Vuitton, or Rolex. That's mean your marketing should not stop at the China model. Whether is it airport Wi-Fi sponsorship, digital or home in transit airport, or influencer contact abroad, the journey must be supported end to end. So how does luxury advertising work in China? I think the first pillar is actually emotional and cultural storytelling, especially among the Gen Z and millennial. We are seeing a shift from status-driven purchase to identity-driven consumption. They are looking for brands that reflect their value, like heritage, sustainability, and individuality. They are not just buying a brand; they are buying a feeling, a story, as well as an identity. So they want to connect with brands that understand their value, their aspiration, and even their insecurity. For example, a jewelry campaign might focus less on the number of carats and more on symbolizing and love. A fashion brand might collaborate with Chinese artisan to tell a story for cultural craftsmanship. So the key is actually don't just sell the product, sell the story behind it. So this second pillar is actually what we are doing, the precision marketing enabled by AI and first-party data. So by using our DMP, brand can now segment consumer by their life state. Example, we can target them intern, newlywed, or first-time parent, or frequent business traveler. City tier, we can actually target them intern or Shanghai or different city. The consumer behavior in Shanghai is actually very different from that in perhaps Chengdu or Suzhou. So in terms of the income, we also can target them in terms of income and spending habit, psychographic, including like personal value, what type of thing they like, their luxury preference, as well as culturally affinity. So what I'm going to emphasize here is actually we are not just targeting women aged 25 to 40. We're actually targeting a young lawyer, example in Shanghai, who love modern art, has bought like Gucci handbag in the last 3 months. And she also engaged with eco-conscious fashion on, example, Xiaohongshu or Reno. So it's just a very niche marketing we can actually go into. So with AI, we can run hyper-personal ads, optimize and do sequencing, and even conduct A/B testing at scale. So this is what we call whisper marketing now. We quietly reach the right consumer at the right moment with the right message. Yep, showing you like the focus is actually video is king. So around 67.7% of the luxury advertising spend is now going to videos. OTT platform like iQIYI, Tencent Video, and especially Youku. So CTV for full screen immersive format is also up and coming. So we also can have this short video and live stream platform like Douyin and Reno. I think the reason is why, because video allowed for immersive full screen storytelling, as well as we also offer partnership with celebrity, influencer, or live stream event. So I can see a lot of luxury brand, they are using famous artists like Jay Chou, Gucci, she's using like the Fan Bingbing or Di Bingbing, I think, yeah. So we see great result when brands are running like fashion show, live stream to create runway magic. Uh, the other trend we are seeing is actually festive gift unboxed with KOL, revealing some of the festive season. I think the focus here is actually they are not just as they are actually mini luxury experience that consumer can watch, share, and engage with. So I can see from here like visual immersion is the new luxury storefront. So the kind of offline tactic we can actually employ is like the pop-up experience, luxury roadshow, as well as the VIP appointment. They still play an important role, especially for high net worth individual. So this experience drive emotional connection as well as the exclusivity. So in terms of the cultural collaboration, we actually can do like co-hosting exhibition or arts event in city like Shanghai or Chengdu. So this create local relevance as well as increase the brand awareness. Yeah, so I can see from here, it's actually one of the most unique, powerful tool in the Chinese luxury marketing playbook, mainly the festive and cultural marketing. So in China, festivals are not just holiday. They actually are deeply emotional, cultural, and often commercial moment that shape consumer mindset and behavior. So this type of festival, they are mostly tied to like family, romance, gifting, and even personal expression, all of which align perfectly with the value of the luxury. For example, on the day of the May 20, it's actually 520. So this is like a digital age Valentine Day because the number 520 in Chinese actually sound like I love you. So during this 520 day, it's actually become a massive gifting day for young couple and even luxury self-purchase. So jewel, fragrance, or bags or beauty line often launch exclusive 520 theme item. The other festival will be like the Qixi Festival. It's actually the Chinese traditional Valentine Day. Of course, we have the single day which is fall on the 11th November. And then Mid-Autumn Festival, often tied to theme of renewal and traditional. On the right-hand side, you can see it's actually one of the Tesla app associated with one of the biggest hit animation movie characters called Naza. So smart brand will create cultural embedded content like mini film or storytelling from Chinese KOL who interpret the product in a modern way. So in short, luxury brand must feel like cultural local to win the hearts of the consumer. The other one of the biggest challenge and opportunity for luxury brand in China is finding the right balance between short-term impact and long-term branding. So too often brands actually focus heavily on immediate sales metric like chasing GMV, CTA or short label. But in luxury, this balance is actually need to balance everything. So in the short term, especially around festival and seasonal campaign, brands should focus on exclusive high impact activation that capture attention and drive urgency like festive theme, packaging, or limited edition collaboration. So while short term win the traffic and sale, is the long term brands building that cement a luxury brand reputation and desirability in China. So Chinese consumer, especially the Gen Z and millennial, are increasingly conscious of the environmental and social impact. So let's talk about the IP co-creation and the Chinese creator on this part. So instead of just importing campaign from the Europe or US, right, top luxury brand, they actually co-create with the Chinese local designer, museum or artist. For example, a global watchmaker may release a series of design in collaboration with the Chinese Palace Museum. So in conclusion, this tactic help brands not just sell, but to stay in the heart and mind of the consumer. Yeah, this just a conclusion. What's the consumer insight of the luxury industry? So as you know, we are seeing a major shift driven by the younger, more rational consumer. They actually care less about the flashy logo and more care about the emotional telling parts, cultural relevance, and personalized experience. So demand is also diversified. High net worth individual, they want exclusivity, they want while middle and light consumer focus on value. At the same time, omnichannel integration is actually crucial. So digital platform like live stream and consumer media are growing fast. In order to succeed, brand must actually tailor their approach, as I mentioned earlier, offering VIP service for heavy buyer, loyalty reward for regular, as well as for entry-level product for light user. Of course, storytelling is also very important to attract potential customer. So lastly, precision segmentation and data-driven marketing are now the key to winning in the China compact luxury landscape. Next, I'm going to share with you some of the case study we've done. So this is a LV case study. Yeah, so in short, it's during the Christmas. They want to target the male 25 to 45, as well as the female 20 to 45 years old, across 15 first and second tier city. And then their media strategy is doing programmatic AI data-driven audience targeting. So what made this campaign so effective was how we actually leveraging audience segmentation as well as the content personalization. So instead of using a generic creative, we developed tailored creative for male and female consumer. For example, male will show creative emphasizing the craftsmanship, and then women we actually emphasize on romance, elegant, or featuring jewelry, handbag, and limited edition accessory. So the result is the CTR improved by over 34%, landing rate improved by 36%, and ROI improved by over 40%. So next, I'm going to show you another case study by Burberry. So this one, same thing. They targeting the single 11, double 11 promotion. So we actually leverage UE proprietary database, redefine data from like JD.com, which is one of the top 2 e-commerce platform in China. So by actually identify the audience like the high intent shopper, so we target them at the moment where they have the active consideration. So we serve creative optimized for both visibility and performance. So the result clearly show like how performance marketing and luxury branding can work hand in hand. In short, we achieve a 3.31 combined CTR, which is very well above the industrial average. So this indicates a strong and relevant and consumer engagement. While the ROI we achieve more than 7, showing great return on the ad spend. I think most importantly is the 60% of the conversion were from the new customer, meaning we have successfully attracted and converted first-time luxury buyer, exactly what the brand actually aim for. So the last one is actually the Tiffany. So they want to target people during the Valentine's Day. So in terms of the audience strategy, we leverage our cross-screen algorithm, meaning we can map the user across multiple devices. So we are not just targeting a mobile user or a CTV viewer. We are targeting a person, following them through across all their screen journey. So this kind of integration is actually powerful in terms of the luxury brands, where repeated exposure and emotional storytelling across touchpoint build trust and memory. The result, as you see, we achieve a 3.7 CTR. So it reflects the strong creative engagement and targeting accuracy. In terms of the bounce rate was 58%. It's actually indicated a high quality traffic that stay to explore the product pages or campaign content. So lastly, the ROI exceed by 24%. Yeah. So it's showing that cross-stream targeting combined with precision delivery can actually truly lift the campaign performance. Yeah, that's a end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And that was a compelling look at how luxury brands can align their data, creative, and media to drive precision and performance in today's complex ecosystem. So now let's turn to Chao. Wait a minute. Okay. So Chao will get us through the power of private domain marketing in China and how CDP and marketing automation can unlock deeper, more personalized engagement. So, Chao, I'm going to pass the screen to you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Yi. Hello, everyone. Let me first introduce my company, Linkflow, which is part of Yoyi Tech, a professional companion for brands' digital growth that dedicated to provide omni-domain growth solutions based on CDP and MMA. Existing customers in luxury industry, including Prada, Gucci, Ring, Pandora, etc., as well as customers in other industries like consumer goods, electronics, furniture, travel, and healthcare. Firstly, we should understand the private domain landscape. Yeah, the digital marketing landscape has evolved significantly, with consumers increasingly valuing privacy and control over the data. This shift has led to the rise of private domains, which are owned and controlled by brands, allowing them to build direct relationships with their customers and gather valuable data for personalized marketing. Private domains encompass various channels, including brand websites, mobile apps, social media platforms, and email newsletters. By leveraging these channels effectively, brands can create a seamless and immersive customer experience that fosters loyalty and drives conversions. There are several key benefits. For data ownership and control, private domains enable brands to own and control their customer data, eliminating reliance on third-party platforms. This empowers brands to gain deeper insights into customer preferences and behaviors. For personalization and relevance, by leveraging customer data, brands can deliver highly personalized and relevant experiences across their private domains. This includes tailored product recommendations, targeted promotions, and personalized content, which enhances customer engagement and drives conversions. For brand consistency and trust, private domains provide a consistent and trusted environment for customers to interact with brands. This fosters brand loyalty and trust, as customers feel valued and understood. Last but not least, long-term customer relationships will allow brands to cultivate long-term relationships with customers. By continuously engaging and providing value, brands can increase customer lifecycle value and drive sustainable growth. But also, there are several challenges and considerations. First of all, like data privacy and security, brands must ensure that customer data is collected, stored, and used in compliance with data protection regulations and industry practices. This includes implementing robust security measures to protect customer data from unauthorized access or breaches. The second is that building and maintaining engaging and relevant content across product domains requires significant resources and expertise. And also, integrating various primary domain channels and technologies can be very complex and challenging. To leverage data-driven personalization, Linkflow provides customer data platform plus marketing automation solution. Linkflow CDP seamlessly connect and activate omnichannel customer data, gain a full view of a customer, and then create personalized consumer-centric experiences. The pre-connecting systems including all categories of private domain platforms like social media, CRM, e-commerce stores, all these things. Linkflow's MA enables brands to automate and streamline their marketing activities, delivering personalized and timely messages. There are also 150 plus one-click templates containing industry strategy practices. It covers the whole consumer lifecycle management from the visit period to interest to first order and repurchase and loyalty and yeah, even when it's lost. For data-driven personalizations, there are several best practice tips. For segmentation and targeting, brands should segment their customer base on demographic behaviors and preferences to deliver targeted and relevant messages. For content personalization, brands should leverage customer data to deliver personalized content, including product recommendations, tailored promotions, and personalized communications. For testing and optimizations, brands should continuously test and optimize their personalized campaigns to improve performance and drive better results. And also, transparency and trust should be collected and used practices to build trust and maintain customer loyalty. Last but not least, continuous learning and improvement can help the brand to improve their personalization strategies and deliver better experiences over time. Yeah, and what is special for the luxury industry? Now, here's a case study for industry jewelry brand. The brand primarily creating high-quality jewels for people in romantic relationships. Currently, for the case, the company operates in over 170 cities globally with more than 360 directly operated stores. It has established its own official website, which has mini program store, Tmall, JD.com, and other platforms, and has over 16 million followers on several social media platforms. The core challenge is to solve how new retail marketing can convert user traffic and achieve sales growth. Especially there are three dimensions. For the company level, the DTC means direct consumer model has not achieved the maximum conversion of the user pool. Second, the user level data is not integrated, lacking a unified user view. And for the growth level, the new retail model requires coordinated online to offline operations. New retail department faces significant growth challenges and the capability for integrated public to private domain operations urgently needs enhancement. In the luxury industry, so to the solution, in the luxury industry, sales associate is a critical role. Like in the case, the brand has many stores. Let's examine our strategy for guiding customers into sales associates, WeCom networks, and the key stages of their journey. This journey maps how we convert diverse touchpoints, both in-store and digital, into managed relationships within our SA-driven private domain. The central objective is add SA WeCom. This is our primary conversion point across all channels. Get customers into a sales associate's WeCom account enables personalized engagement and builds the foundation for long-term loyalty. Linkflow powers this entire ecosystem by automates voucher endpoints delivery and journey triggers, segments users dynamically for new or existing, active or inactive, unified data for personalized SA follow-ups, equips SAs with actionable customer insights. This slide outlines our end-to-end system for assigning, nurturing, and converting leads alongside a critical evolution in our traffic ecosystem strategy. Starting with lead activation, it contains multiple channel outreach, from leads, from AI calls to store associates to email or SMS engagements, and also feedback loops. For example, if user ignores SMS or email messages, we will escalate via WeCom notifications within 24 hours. It's the traffic matrix evolution. Before Linkflow, it has a fragmented ecosystem, faced the critical gaps among traffic resources for advertisements, organic traffic, social medias, and conversion barriers. Then with Linkflow, it becomes a unified funnel. The flywheel effect creates a self-reinforcing cycle. For customers to fans, which convert buyers to loyal community members via post-purchase care and exclusive access. For fans to customer, which multiplies engagement via behavioral targeting and tiered rewards to increase the repurchase frequency. And from the result, 9 months after the system launch, the brand achieved a significant revenue increase. There were 100 points more new followers and 9.3 more appointment bookings, then achieved 80 points more campaign conversions, and finally achieved 10 million more sales revenue. So that's my part. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Charles, for that deep dive into personalization, segmentation, and real-time engagement through private domain strategies. Now we move into our panel discussion. How can luxury brands navigate the new era of Chinese consumer engagement? Okay. So I'm pleased to welcome back Pablo, Andy, and Chao to share their perspectives on how brands can evolve their strategies in this fast-changing landscape. We'll explore how to align insights, executions, and personalizations across both global and local touchpoints. So let's begin with a question with Pablo. So Pablo, based on your experience advising global brands in China, what are the most common organizational or operational barriers that prevent luxury companies from translating consumer insights into effective omnichannel strategies?
Well, I think this can be broken down into a few distinct challenges, right? The first one is linked to the data fragmentation, and I think that we have today with Yoi and Linkflow like solutions that definitely help to address those, right? But like at some point we're talking about needs for a CDP, we're talking about needs for integrated data. This is still even operationally speaking a big challenge for brands. The data is coming from different sources, As we know, the ecosystem in China works in a way that like the mapping out a consumer journey across different platforms is not necessarily an easy thing to do. You have all the solutions available to do it, but it doesn't mean that all the brands have achieved that level of maturity. Even if they did, and assuming that from a technical and data point of view, they are equipped to address the data fragmentation, there is another type of fragmentation, which is simply the organizational silos. And we see that very well by working with different teams within an organization, where at some point, the marketing team tend to have access to great data, but on marketing only. The e-commerce team tend to have access to great data, but on e-commerce only, and so on. And at the end of the day, it forces teams to always base their strategies, their optimizations on a specific data sets that prevent them to identify in some cases elements of correlations that can be very important, blind spots, and so on. The other one is speed and access to data. That there are still a lot of organizations that are stuck with pretty rigid solutions and dashboards and ISO KPIs and within a brand organization, it's not always the case that they have access to data that can equip them with the level of speed and agility needed. They have access to that data, but they need for the end of the month the report to be available. They have limited ways to dig deeper, ask questions, and so on. This is a direct consequence of how collaborations are being framed with their partners. And again, also on how the overall operations are designed internally. The last one is linked to the blind spots. Naturally, we don't know what we don't know. And most of the data solutions today still depend on the ability of people to ask the right questions. At some point, the way you go query the data is directly by your ability to raise the last question. And we believe that this is an area where AI is going to make significant breakthrough. Not only in terms of like providing you with the right data to answer your question, but to address your attention towards meaningful data points that are potentially completely out of your radar.
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned like 4 points: the data fragmentation, organizational silos, and access and speed to data, as well as the blind spots, the ability to ask the right questions. So thank you for your answer. And then for Andy, as someone who works at the intersection of media, data, and tech, how can marketing and media teams better align with data and technology teams to accelerate execution in China's highly agile market?
So you're talking how marketing team and media team can work together with the data and tech team, right? Yeah, I think this is a very good question because as you know, most of the media and marketing team, they actually work in silo between the tech and data and tech team. Most of the time, they actually don't really communicate unless there's a big project or what. But I think one thing I can say is speed and agility are very critical in the China fast-moving digital environment. I think in order to actually group together this marketing, media, data, and tech team, right? I think first thing is we have a shared KPI between all these relevant departments. So let's say everyone align around the outcome like engagement, quality, conversion, and customer like the lifetime value, not just impression. I think it's the collaboration between the KPI like in terms of the sales conversion. Yeah. So I think secondly, we need to integrate it like the real-time data flow across platform. Tool like just now, like Charles mentioned, like CDP or AI-powered dashboard can help marketer act faster. Whether is it optimizing creative campaign or reallocating spend based on the live result. I think lastly is actually we need to involve the tech team or we need to involve the tech team, especially in the early creative process. For example, when we launch a luxury campaign on WeChat, our tech team should be informed what kind of segment to target, and then what kind of tech team, and even our tech team can advise like how to build the right mini program. So it become a co-creation and not a hands-off. So this is how we can think that marketing, media, data, and tech team should be actually working around. So the three aspects, I think the main aspect will be like sharing the KPI and then involve them earlier in the campaign process.
Okay, thank you, Andy. That was a fascinating answer. And then this question is for Pablo and Andy, for both of you. As luxury brands aim to create seamless experiences across markets, how can they ensure their strategies feel both locally personalized and globally consistent, particularly for those high-value consumers? I think maybe Pablo, you can answer it first.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I think we have to be careful with localization because again we've been active in that field for the past 13 years here, right? And at the beginning there was a lot of required work to convince brands about the importance of localizing their message for China, and that remains a very strategic thing to do. At the same time, we also have to be careful about the fact that localization sometimes give to brands the opportunity to become sometimes a bit lazy about crafting a global communication that will resonate in the market. And at some point, the localization is here to add that element of relevance for the market. But at the end of the day, as a luxury brand, you need to have a global positioning that is consistent. And so first and foremost, when it comes to localizing the right way, it's about making sure that you're not forgetting about your core values that must remain consistent. Because this is the backbone anyways of what your brand stands for. Then when it comes to localization, I think that you can really break it down, right? It's relatively easy to approach on marketing and communication from a content point of view. Brands have at a very early stage embraced the idea of working with local celebrities, developing more local either product or capsule collections, or developing specific talking points. It's more difficult to approach from a user experience point of view. The channel strategy is very different. I think that we had a lot of cases today in Charles' presentation about the private domain. There is no similar concept in the West. The way the private domain operates in the West is very different. The way lifecycle communications are articulated is very different. What you can and cannot do is very different. And this is right now, I feel, an area that is challenging more brands, understanding that at some point their lifecycle communications have an opportunity to be localized to better take advantage of the local capabilities, the local platforms, and the local solutions, like Linkflow, for example. And I think that this is the high stake, like localizing branding, positioning, and communication. I feel that a lot of brands have got that right for a while now.
Okay, thank you. So it's more about be careful and never forget your core values, and know your user, know the local channels, and then you can dive in. And for Andy, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I think Paulo has speak what I want to say most of it. But I think what I want to emphasize actually, yeah, the high value consumer, they still expect the local relevant from like cultural storytelling during like the TC festival. But they also want to feel like part of a global industry trend with consistent service and identity, whether they are in China, whether they are in Shanghai, Paris, or Dubai. I think something I learned recently is they call it grow local personalization, meaning combine global and local together. That means keeping the core luxury brand value, but we also layer like a local local relevant content campaign and as well as the service format. Yep.
Okay, no, thank you. And then I got a question for Chao. So when it comes to cross-border marketing and building consumer loyalty, what role should CDPs, creative testings, and real-time feedback loops play in refining messaging and customer journeys?
Yes. Yeah, complex question. I think first of all, use the CDP to collect all customer data to understand different countries' preferences. This will help create the right messages. Secondly, I think creative testing tests many content designs and offers in each market. It can help you see which pictures, words, or discounts work best locally, and stop bad ones quickly. And after all, feedback loops can help to learn and improve fast. If something fails, then change it immediately. Move money to some winning campaigns. Yeah.
Okay,
So all the streets are very important. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question to close our panel. What does a truly mature omnichannel engagement model look like for luxury brands operating in and beyond China? And what should brands be aspiring to the next 2 to 3 years? Maybe this is an open question for the three of you who have the thoughts or ideas to answer this question. Volunteer.
Okay, maybe I can start first. I think one most important is really, let's say we need a really omnichannel engagement. We need really like a CDP to have a unified customer identity. Whether this consumer engage on the red note, visit a boutique in Shanghai, or even go overseas. So this information must be synced. So we need to identify whether are they the same user on a mobile, desktop, or even while they are seeing digital or home. We can customize all these experience around. I think secondly will be experience over exposure. It's not about flooding all the media channel, but also curate the consistent storytelling across, as mentioned, mobile, OTT, digital, home, and target the right audience and at the right and target the right audience and at the right time. Yeah, this is my feedback.
Maybe to complement and this feedback, which I think covers the main area, I'm completely aligned with that. When it comes to the luxury industry, there is one thing that is very important. It's the human component. At the end of the day, the volume of online transactions for the luxury brands varies between categories, but tend to remain low, and there is a reason for that. It doesn't make digital channels less strategic. It just means that the act of purchase is still broadly preferred to be offline because it's generally supported by meaningful human interactions. And so when it comes to omnichannel, all of us, me included, are all very driven by tech and data and AI and new opportunities. In the case of luxury, how the human component is truly integrated into that and can even benefit from that is absolutely key. At the end of the day, I always find it interesting seeing almost on a topic like clienteling, for example, the technology and the capabilities have developed very quickly to have WeCom fully integrated into the data infrastructure of the brand, and then opening up the range of data that can be collected, behavioral tags, segmentation, lifecycle communication. But at the same time, you still see retail staff that have very limited training on how to work with those other channels and so on.
Yeah.
And I think that for the luxury industry, paradoxally, maybe when we talk about what is needed for true omnichannel, maybe one of the biggest challenge or one of the most important part is the offline integration. How do we leverage offline stores for data collection, not just through a CRM form? How do we take advantage of clienteling that will predominantly still be managed by retail sales that own the relationship and the trust from the consumers? And I think that on top of all the things that Andy said that are absolutely true on the need for integration, the human component is absolutely key if we want that to remain relevant for the luxury industry.
Yeah, I totally agree with Andy and Pablo's point on omni experience and omni maybe customer data and human interactions. I think maybe there's also another trend. Yeah, it's not only China special that super apps integration like WeChat. Yeah, you see that X intends to be a super app. And also Facebook ecosystem is growing to integrate it further. So like bookstore VIP room via mini program or mini apps, pay with some super app, and share something on some super app, all collected to one customer profile. Yeah, I think that will also be a trend. Thank you.
You're
Hey,
mute.
You're mute.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Okay. So thank you for your insightful perspectives. And I don't think we have enough time for our Q&A session. So we will collect all the answers and send them to you with our recording and our slides and also the Q&A question answers. So thank you to everyone who has submitted questions, and that brings us to the end of today's webinar. A huge thank you to our speakers, Pablo, Andy, and Chao, for your insights, and to all of you for joining us. As a reminder, a recording of this session and slides will be sent to you soon. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.